Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian at the Atlantic Council think tank, where we're talking to Magnus Nordenman, who's the Deputy Director of the Brent Scowcroft Center for International Security. Magnus, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You recently authored a report about greater defense industrial cooperation between Sweden and the United States. It was sponsored by the Octagon consulting company that's in Sweden. What's at stake in this relationship? Obviously, it's warming because of concerns about Russia. Sweden obviously putting some forces on Gotland because of that concern. What are some of the ways that the cooperation, from your standpoint, is mutually beneficial?
It's beneficial because the United States needs strong partners in the region that is newly filled with friction, if you will. So it's in U.S. interest that the countries in the region are perhaps not independent, but can certainly help take care of the region that they find themselves in. And Sweden is a great partner for this.
Obviously, the two countries have been allied. Even at the time of Swedish neutrality, there was still an enormous amount of cooperation between the United States and Sweden. What are some of the defense industrial capabilities that Sweden can bring to bear to help solve U.S. problems? And conversely, how can U.S. technologies help solve some of Sweden's defense problems?
So some of the key defense problems in the region currently is obviously A2AD and access to the region. And here Sweden brings some unique qualities that is tough for the US to match. For example, in the subsurface environment, it's actually incredibly hard, if not impossible, for US submarines to operate in the Baltic. But it's somewhere where Swedish submarines obviously can and are actually tailored to. So US-Swedish defense cooperation in the subsurface environment, and then also broadening that out to perhaps also include Poland and other countries in the region is one way where you almost have a perfect marriage between Swedish capabilities and US interest. Another area is, of course, air defense, which is an area that Sweden perhaps understandably underspent on over the last 10 or 20 years, thinking there was not much of a threat in the region. But now that is obviously an area that Sweden and other countries in the region have to take a closer look at.
And it's also at a time when Sweden is investing very heavily, obviously, in the E-model of the Gripen, the new sort of Super Gripen fighter, as well as in the A-26 submarine program.
Right, exactly. So in terms of air power, there's actually lots of good news in the region. So Sweden is investing in the E version. Norway is getting F-35s. Denmark is getting F-35s. Finland is looking at options, and Poland is too. So here I think the U.S. could take a leadership role in maybe, if you will, rack and stack tasks and missions for the different nations that operate different kinds of air power, and in that way get a better coverage of all the different missions that may need to be carried out in the region.
You've been one of the people who has been, calling for greater Nordic cooperation writ large. The region still has, I'm not going to say old animosities, but certain frictions.
Right.
When you and I were on a trip to Norway last year, it was very, very funny where some of those frictions would occasionally arise. Lots of Norway-Sweden jokes. But putting that aside, I mean, for example, Sweden has always been interested in getting Norway as a partner. Norway is now looking at French and German submarines, for example. And the region talks a good game about cooperation, but there still isn't a lot of programmatic cooperation where nations are kind of coming around programs. What do you see the future of sort of defense industrial cooperation in the region?
Right. So you're right. I think that's an accurate description. And again, certainly all the countries play nice, but there are different priorities. There are different institutional belongings. Some are NATO members, others are NATO partners. But again, I think the U.S. actually plays a confidence-building role in the region. All of the Nordic nations wants to cooperate with the United States. So if you will, if the U.S. arranges to party in some ways, that is almost a guarantee that the other countries from the region will show up and seek to cooperate. So even there, I think the U.S. plays an important role as a galvanizer or initiator of deeper defense cooperation.
Magnus, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.